Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 3 of this video series of NestJS and Angular CRUD example. So to communicate or to fetch the data into our NestJS application, here we are going to use the MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB is a document-oriented database which is classified as NoSQL. Okay, in MongoDB, the terminology of calling tables is different. Okay, in MongoDB, tables in general we use terminology like tables, right? In MongoDB, we call them as collections. And in general, inside of the table, what we store? Records. So here it is a collection, right? Inside of it, we are going to store the document. Okay, and this document is of format. Generally, it looks like JSON, but its actual format is BSON. Okay, so BSON is nothing but a binary format of the JSON. Okay, so MongoDB is a NoSQL document-oriented database. Okay, and collections are equivalent to the tables in the MongoDB. Okay, so to, to consume a MongoDB, we have to have a MongoDB, right? For that, I am going to use one of the cloud service, which is a free, so we can learn without investing any money. Okay, for learning purpose, we can choose the uh, package of free package of the cloud service. Okay, for that we simply browse like MongoDB. Okay, and you can see a link for MongoDB Atlas, which is a cloud data platform. Okay, click on it. Okay, once you click on the link, you can see here for a start free. My suggestion is uh, please click on the start free and register with MongoDB cloud. Okay, and sign up for it, and it will display the options to create a cluster. Okay, this cluster is nothing but some service provided in the cloud. So inside of the cluster, we can create our MongoDB database. Okay, so those steps are quite easy and you can easily do them by selecting the free package. Okay, since I have already done, I will directly sign up with my dashboard. Okay, so if you go through the free step also, after registration you have to sign up and you can see the dashboard of the MongoDB cloud. Okay, so this is our dashboard for the cloud service that is provided by Atlas MongoDB. Okay, and now here you can see a cluster. If you created cluster, the cluster name will be available here. Okay, if you want to create a database here, you should go to the browse collections. We know collections means tables. Okay, to create a collection, click on the browse collection. Okay, since I have already have some sample database, it is directly showing here. If you are newly created or newly sign up with this Atlas MongoDB, the dashboard will show you a buttons here. So button is like add my own data. If you click on it, it will display a pop-up. Okay, and there you can create your database and collection. Okay, so let me create a database. So if you already created, you can see a create database button. If you're totally new, down here you will see a button like add my own data. Okay, so I am clicking. Okay, let me create a new database like Angular 14 and YT. Okay, YTDB, YouTube DB. Okay, so this is my database name. And while creating database, you can create one table. Okay, sorry, collection. So for this demo, I choose it to display some superheroes in the Angular UI project by consuming the API call. So I want to get the some superheroes data. So I will create my collection name like superheroes. So click on create. Okay. Now you can see here my database, new database is created. Okay. And I have a collection like superheroes. Okay. Now for testing purpose, you can insert a document here. Okay. So I told right, in collections, data is stored as a document. So document is in format of originally it is a BSON, but it looks like JSON because BSON is nothing but binary format of the JSON. Okay. So if you click this toggle, and here you can add your sample data. Okay. For this demo, to insert a sample record, I have prepared a JSON object with one document. Okay. So let's insert it and test it. So here is my JSON. So my document contains properties like name, power, franchise, and email URL. Okay. So copy this data. Okay. Remove this existing data and paste it here and click on insert button. And you can see data is successfully inserted. And MongoDB will create a ID underscore ID with some uh, unique code. Okay. So we successfully created MongoDB database, and inside of it we created a collection, and for testing purpose we have inserted one document into it. Okay. Now we have to create a connection string for this database so that that connection string can be used by our NestJS application to communicate with this cloud database securely. Okay. So before getting the connection string, we have to do couple of work. That is like first thing, go to the network access menu at the left hand side. Okay. So here you need to add the IP address. Okay. So if your application is hosted, then your server IP address need to be added here. For developers, we are doing at our local system, right? So you simply add your public IP address. So you search like what is my IP? It's going to give your public IP address of your Wi-Fi or your mobile network. Okay. So because it is protected by the IP address as well to interact with this Atlas MongoDB cloud service. Okay, that is one thing we have to do in prior. Okay, and the next thing we have to create is database access. So here we have to create the users. So if you have already signed up initially, you will get default username here. Okay, so if you want to create one more user to access the database, you can create here by clicking it. Okay. So by creating a user here, there are two uh, properties that are needed by the connection string, that are username and the password. Okay. So if you forgot password, you can regenerate the password. Okay. By editing the password, you can regenerate. Please store it securely because it is one time visible, because next time you want to see it, you have to regenerate it. Okay, every time the password should be regenerated if you lost it. Okay, so please keep your password securely. Okay, now let's try to create the MongoDB connection string. For that, go back to dashboard database menu. Okay, and here you can see a button like connect. Click on it, and here it will show different environmental connection string like Mongo shell, your application, compass, and connecting VS code. Okay, here my aim is to connect with my application, right? NestJS application. So I simply choose this connect with my application, and here is the MongoDB connection string. Okay, so copy this and save it somewhere so that we can use it in our Angular NestJS application. Now let's get back to our NestJS application. To consume this MongoDB into our NestJS application, we require few libraries. Those are like NestJS slash Mongoose and original library, that is Mongoose. Okay, we need to install these two libraries. Okay, to copy the installation command, you can go to the official documents of the NestJS. Okay, and on left hand side you can see the techniques and go for the MongoDB. And here is the first line that displays to install the nest slash mongoose and mongoose, two libraries need to be installed. So copy the command and open our terminal, paste it. So packages successfully installed. To confirm it, we know where to check. Yes, we have to go to package.json, and in the dependencies you can see mongoose and NestJS slash mongoose, both libraries installed in our application. Okay. Now we have to configure the connection string. For that, first we have to import the mongoose module into our app module. Okay, go for app module, and in the import section, okay, you can write like mongoose module and for root. Okay, and here you can simply pass the connection string. So we know our connection string, right? So I'm copying my connection string and I'm going to paste it here. Here we can see username is automatically added to my connection string. We need to provide password. Okay. So I'm going to provide the password which I saved it securely. And you can see here. So for suppose this connection string is good. Okay. And if you try to access what this connection string going to give access, right? Here there is no sign of any database registration, right? So if you do straight away using this connection string, then it's trying to search for the test database. Okay, test database. If the connection string is the database is not explicitly specified in the connection string, then it is automatically searches for the test database at this cluster. Okay, but if you want to specify a specific database, see here .NET slash is there, right? After this and before the query parameters, we have to specify our database name within the connection string. Okay, we know our database name. So to get the database name, you can browse collections, right? And this is my database name. I'm going to copy this name. Okay, after the .NET slash, just paste the database name. Now this connection string always communicate with this database. Okay, if you don't specify, its default searches for the test name based database. Okay, and here also provide your password. Now to test our application is able to communicate with our database, just start the application, and in the terminal there will be console logs, right? If the connection fail, it will display there itself. Okay, let me start my application. Okay, here you can say unable to connect to the database. Most probably issue with either with my IP address or issue is with my password. Okay. Okay, now I have changed my public IP address. See, Mongoose core module dependency initialized. That means my database connection, establishing the connection is successful. Okay. So mostly when you get unable to connect the database error, mostly either your server IP address must be changed, or else your database password is given as wrong way. Okay. So now the connection established is successful. Now let's create a new module. Okay. So this demo, I'm going to display superheroes, right? So I'm going to create endpoints like read, delete, update, create, right? So to create those functionality, I'm going to create the separate module. Okay. So let's create the new separate module and open one more terminal. And creating modules using NestCLI is very easy. So command is like nest space G represent generate space MO. That means please create a module for me. Okay. Space name of the module. Okay. I will name it like super hyphen heroes. So now I just want to create my module. Enter. And here you can see the message like created, like module is created and app module is updated. So let's check our file structure. Here you can see superheroes module folder is created. Inside of it, superhero module is created, and inside of the app module, superhero is automatically imported. Here you can see superhero module is automatically imported to app module. Okay. Now to communicate with superheroes model inside of my NestJS application, I need to create a entity, and that entity must be represented as a schema, MongoDB schema, so that I can query or filter or search for the MongoDB database using the schema. Okay, so this schema can be generated with the help of the libraries we have just installed. That is NestJS Mongoose and NestJS normal Mongoose. Okay, so we have to create a class that represent this superheroes collection in the MongoDB. Okay, so I want to create a superhero schema class inside of this module folder. Okay, so command is like nest generate. I want to create simple class. Okay, class and super inside of superheroes folder, right? Superheroes folder. Okay, I want to create a new folder inside of that module folder, that is schema. Okay, and now I want to mention my class name, that is superhero dot schema. Okay, this is my class name, and I don't want to create any additional superhero schema folder because I am already creating schema folder explicitly, right? So to avoid any folder creation for the specified file name, I have to mention the flag like flag. And I don't want to create spec file as well. So I will specify no spec. Okay, enter. Okay, this is my schema class got created. We can go to the file. Okay, schema folder is created and superhero schema class is created. And just make this class as superheroes. Okay, and this class must be mapped with our MongoDB collection. Okay, for that I need to decorate this with schema attribute that loads from the nestjs slash mongoose. And here we can provide some options. Okay, by default, if you don't specify anything, the schema generated from this class will add s here. So collection name, to generate the collection name, it will add one more s. Okay, so if you want to specify explicitly the collection name, you can specify here in the object. So I am going to specify collection name. So my superhero collection name is this one, right? Copy this name and paste it here. If you want to auto generate, just leave this and make sure then your class look like this, because s will be automatically added. If you add s or schema, what it will do, it will add one more s. When query is initiated, it unable to find superheroes double s, right? So those cases, to avoid auto generation, you can explicitly say the schema and the collection name. Okay. And now we know our document contains these properties, right? We should map each property in this schema. Okay. For that, so the first property in the documentation name, right? So name, which is a type of string, and to make it map with the MongoDB document property, it should be decorated with the prop. Okay, that loads from the NestJS slash Mongoose. Okay, same way, all properties should be registered with the props property. Okay, this is our class that represents our collection look like this. Now from this class we have to generate the schema. Okay, to generate schema, and we are going to export the schema as well. So export const super heroes schema. Okay, and to generate the schema we can use schema factory that loads from the nestjs slash mongoose dot create per class. Okay, and we have to pass the class, so super heroes. Okay, so we are generating the schema here. Now here we need to return the type as well. Okay, so this type will be used in the services for the model. So export type superhero document type, because originally we are going to return document type, right? So name it like superhero document equal to, either it should be our superheroes class type, and import from mongoose. Okay, we have to import the document. Okay, document. Okay, so our schema file looks like this. Now we have to register our schema at our future module. So our future module is nothing but our child module, which is the superheroes module. Okay, so go to superheroes module. Here, let's add a property like imports, which is a type of array. Okay, now I can import mongoose module. So in app module, we use for root, right? So that is like parent method. In the child modules, we have to use the for future. So here we are going to define our collection mapping. Okay, so open array and object. So it will have name. So most probably give the name just like our collection name. Okay, and next schema. We have just generated our schema, right? Superhero schema and the collection name. We know our collection name, right? Give the collection name. Okay. So we successfully created a schema class and registered that schema class in our superhero module. Now let's create a service. Okay. In general, NestJS, any database logic like filtering the database or fetching the database or updating the database, all those logic must be written in the services. Okay. Service file. So first generate that service file. Okay. So to generate that service file, let's use our CLI command like nest space G for generate space S. S represents service file. Service file is nothing but a injectable file that contains all database communication logic. Okay, so I can simply specify the name of the file, superheroes, and I don't want any specs. So now how it will be created? Superhero. I have given my service name should be Superhero. So NestJS, what it will do, it will search us for if there is any folder with that name or not. Yes, there is a folder name with Superhero. So inside of it, it will create TS file like super-heroes.service.ts file. Okay. So to check that, let's run this command. So technically what I am doing, I am creating a service file inside of my superheroes module. Okay. So you can see inside of the superheroes module folder, super-heroes.service.ts file. My service file is created. And you can see in the superheroes module, there is an update. So first, if we go to superheroes module, here you can see inside of the providers, services will be registered. Generally, services are injectable providers. They need to be registered in the providers itself. Okay. Now go to the superhero service. Okay. So to communicate with our database, we have to create a model that represents our database collection. Okay. So inside of the constructor, we can create, okay, for creating that model, we have to use the injectable model token. Okay. To this, we have to specify our, generally, we have to specify our uh, schema class name. We know superheroes, our schema class name, right? Dot name, it's going to give this class name itself, nothing more. Okay, but we are just using the TypeScript function, TypeScript way of writing the code. If you want, you can directly write here by creating the double quotes. Okay, so this is also do same thing, just it will dot name gives this name as a string. Okay, so injectable token and our private variable. Okay, name it like superhero model. Now we have to define the type like model that loads from the Mongoose, the original library. And the type should be our superhero documentation type. We have exporting, right? Superhero documentation type. Like this, we need to export. Sorry, it is not at the rate injectable, at the rate injectable model. Okay. So this is our service look like. Now Now the thing is, using this variable, I can filter, I can generate the query for filtering my MongoDB, I can generate the query for fetching the data from my MongoDB, I can generate the query for saving or updating the document into my MongoDB. Okay. So next we are going to create a one get endpoint. So that get endpoint fetches all the data from the MongoDB, and that get endpoint will return the response from the our NestJS application. Then that response will be captured by our Angular application, and it's nicely painted on the UI using our Angular components. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this video delivered some useful information to you all. If you like my content, please do support me by subscribing to my channel. Soon we are going to meet with all new content. Until then, signing off.